Dear friends, welcome to episode 4 of Data Science Live. My name is Mr. Campanelle, and I'm here to do some live coding with the R programming language, enjoy a little bit of mukbang, and hopefully provide a little bit of companionship for the next 20 minutes or so. So, let me loosen my tie here, and let's get this loose here. I want to get started, right? Loosen this tie and get started. Okay. So today's episode, we're going to do some data cleaning on an Excel file. And if you watched episode 3, we're going to be using the same file that we used in episode 3, which is this OECD report for fertility rates by country. So a little bit about Excel cleaning. Excel was originally created as a spreadsheet software to do financial business analysis. It eventually got so popular and so spread around on everybody's desktop that it morphed into something to where you can create and store data. But given the characteristics, it left the data to be really unstructured, and the structure is really at the whim of the user who creates the data. So as a data scientist, you may be given an analysis, and a lot of your data sources are in these Excel spreadsheets that may be created by multiple users that have different structures that you're going to have to learn how to put together and build a tidy data set to do your analysis. So that's kind of what we're going to be focusing on today, and I'm going to start coding. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the libraries that we're going to use today, and we're going to do readxl to read in our Excel file, and then I'm also going to bring in the dplyr library so that we can do a little bit of transformations on the data. So I'm going to highlight these here and run the code. Okay, so right in our libraries, we're good to go here. So I want to just kind of bring up this file. This is the total fertility rates file for it's the number of children born to women between 15 and 49. This is from the OECD fact book. I believe this is 2013 data. I think that this may be a little typo up here on the fact book. But here's some of the things about this data set in Excel. This is really, they're using Excel as kind of the report format here. So what we have up here is we have 3 lines of headers, and if we scroll down here, we also have some footnotes in here as well. So these are some of the things that we're going to have to clean up when we bring in our data set. So I'm just going to kind of put this down here, and first thing we're going to do, we're going to read Excel file. So put my comment in here. I've got a little cheat here because, well, actually, one of the first things I want to do here before this is put out a link. And let me find this link here into the chat. I'm going to copy it and paste it because I like copying and pasting. So Control C, and I'm just going to come down here into my little chat program, a little bit off the off the side here and post that in. So there's the file. You can download this file and work with it on the segment when I do my mukbang. So there you have it right now. So that's the first thing I want to do. I want to get that done. For episode 3, I forgot to do that, and I apologize to the audience who watched episode 3. And where's the file? Where's the file? So there it is for you. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read in the file, and we're just going to take a look at it for issues. And I have this downloaded into my downloads file, and I copied it and I'm going to paste it right here. I renamed the file OECD. The file format is in XLS, and this is one of the little things you want to pay attention to with the readxl library. Pay attention to what the XL file format is. This XLS is kind of an older format for Excel. I think the newer ones, it's XLSX, and there's a function here to read kind of both of those in readxl. So I'm using the readxls function in here, and I'm going to just kind of highlight this and run this through. Okay, so in my console, it's kind of giving me names, and it says has 9 more problems. Okay. All right. That's just reading it straight in. I'm going to come over here to my environment. I'm going to just kind of click down here and look at this. See all these dots here. I see character data types. I see some missing values. Okay, I'm just going to open this in view and then just kind of take a look at it in our viewer. It has the header up here as one of the first columns. It has these dot numbers, and then I'm seeing some of these titles here in our data. I'm seeing NAs over here. So this is an example of kind of a messy Excel report file that you have to read in, or slightly messy. Saying I've seen a lot worse than this, so I'm just going to call this one slightly messy. So we're gonna do some things to clean this up. So the first thing we're going to do is I want to skip those first 3 lines here. I'll just pull up the file again here. 1, 2, 3. I want to skip these all together and not have it be read in. So let's say let's put my comment in here. So I'm going to just kind of copy and paste the same thing again in here. But I'm going to add the skip parameter for readxl equals 3 and run this. Okay, so see something a little bit different. We still have these new names with the dots, but I'm not seeing and 9 more problems. Those problems look like they may have gone away. So let's view the file here. All right, this is starting to look a little bit better. I still have these dots here, but I've got columns that have years. I'm also seeing some NAs in here, so those are getting rid. Oh, what's down here at the bottom? So it looks like it's reading in these footer lines too that are in the data set. So I want to be able to get rid of these things as well. And then I just kind of want to take a look at my data types in the environment window, and I'm seeing characters, numeric data types here is for these fertility rates, and that's what I expect them to be. So that's looking good. So I'm just going to close this one down. And the next thing I want to do is I want to get rid of those last two rows. So I'm just going to put my comment in here. Not 3, I want 2 rows. Okay. And I just maybe I should open this thing up again and just view it one more time. So I'm seeing, where did these things get started at? So it looks like they're started in row 43. Okay, so we want to exclude rows 43 and 42. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to copy and paste this again. Let's fix that and try that again. That didn't look as expected as I want to see. I'm going to go Control C. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to go Control V. Okay, that's where I expect it. And then I'm going to add another parameter in here. And that parameter is nmax. So I'm going to tell readxl that the maximum number of rows after you skip the first 3 is going to be 42. Right, throw it in here, equals 42. Okay, let's give this a try and run it. Okay, so I've got 42 observations now, and let's just open this up, scroll all the way down here. Okay, I got rid of those last 2 rows. And my data set is kind of looking good, except I still don't like this ... and I want to rename it. In episode 3, I used base R to rename it, but I'm really going to try to use the rename function in dplyr. So hopefully that is going to work. All right, so let's kind of go back here into our code, and I'm going to type this in here, and I want to kind of rename the second column. To country. Okay. So going to maybe push this open, move this over just a little bit more so we can see some of this code. Copy this. And come down here and paste it. And so I'm going to pipe in the rename function. And I'm going to say rename. Okay. And I'm going to use my column name here that I'm seeing in my console. I'm just going to copy this because that's what it says the new names are, and that's kind of what it's looking like over here. But with numbers, remember from the last episode, we had to put these backticks in there. So if it's putting the backticks here, I'm going to put the backticks in here. And we're going to say equals country. Or do I have to put quotes in here? I'm just going to say country and see if that works. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the wrong way. I'm doing this wrong. I want to call it country. Right? You want to put your new name equals old name. Okay. I apologize there. Okay, here we go. I'm going to run this again. Error. Can't rename columns that don't exist. The column, blah, 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 whatever, 2, with dots with 2 and some hashtags, #10 politics doesn't exist. And then I'm getting this rlang last error. So rlang is a package for the tidyverse, and these dots are they have operator functions and they have different meanings within the tidyverse. So that's not working right there. So putting in the column name when it's like this isn't going to work. So I'm going to try something a little bit different. Because from the last episode, we did select. You could put in column names. We had a lot of different functions, but you can also put in column numbers. I'm not crazy about putting in column numbers because they're difficult for anybody who has to read your program to follow through, because you gotta keep going back and forth to map it to the data frame. But in this case, I'm just gonna put in the column number 2 that we need to rename. So I'm gonna run this again and give it a try. Okay, I didn't get that error, and if we go over here to our environment, we can see that it's been renamed. And if we look in here, there we go. So we've got country in here, we've got our data in a tidy data frame, and we're going to be ready to take this data frame to be able to do analysis now and use a lot of the tidyverse functions and any other packages that we need to use in R. So I'm good on this. So I'm just going to put my screen up over here, and we're going to go into the mukbang section of this episode. And I'm going to leave my code up here for you to maybe kind of copy and follow along and paste it on your own. Don't forget, I pasted the Excel file in the chat. It'll download, go into your downloads folder wherever you go. If you want to rename it OECD, you can go ahead and rename it, and go ahead and give these, these little this code I put here a try to go. Mukbang. Today, I've got I've got some open face sandwiches. Let me put this up here so you can see that. Here we go. Can you see that? So these are open face sandwiches on a flatbread. The flatbread is a Persian Armenian bread called, I think it's called a lavash bread. And on this flatbread sandwiches here, let me see what we got here. You can see this one. This is a kind of a vegetarian sandwich. So I got rapini, I think it's called broccoli rab, here in the United States. And then I've got some picante, sweet picante peppers. Papado's is the brand that we have in the U.S. I think it's an international brand. These are from South Africa. And then I have some blue cheese on the bottom for the sandwich. So I'm going to dig in here for this on this sandwich here. So yeah, the rapini, the veggie rapini. I mean, you have to put that in your mouth and chew it for a good amount of times. It has a little bit of bitterness, but with the really kind of the big bold flavors of the blue cheese, it takes away a lot of that bitterness. So the other sandwich that I have here is, if we can take a look at that, that is it's got some hand-cut pepperoni on it. It's got some pizza cheese, and then I have a little bit of Parmesan Reggiano, the king of cheeses, as it likes to be called. It's Italian Parmesan Reggiano. On the flatbread, I've also kind of put in some olive oil and balsamic vinegar on the bottom of it to kind of give it a little bit more flavor. Um, so I'm gonna dig into this one. This is kind of an Italian style or Italian American style flatbread sandwich. So if you're going through these lines of code and trying to work on it, work through it yourself, and you run into any issues, you can send questions to me in the chat. I have a chat window that that I monitor, and I stream on LinkedIn, I stream on Mixer, I stream on YouTube, and I stream on Twitch, all at the same time. All the chats from all those services go into this window that I'm using right now. So no matter what you're on, if you're on Mixer, if you're on Twitch, if you're on YouTube, LinkedIn still doesn't have. They're still kind of building out their live streaming product, but Twitch, Mixer, and YouTube, I can read all the chats as well. So feel free to send some chats my way. I'm going to get one more bite of the. I think I'm going to go for the Italian American one with the pepperoni, and then we're going to wrap up the code here. So. So, a little bit on the wrap up here. So the first thing we did was we just read in the file as is. Excel report files, that is probably going to be the danger zone because you have no clue to what's going to come out at you. And as we saw, we had some issues on the header. We had some footer issues. So we did some things to clean those up with readxl. And readxls is the function that we use because we did have a XLS extension, and that's the one we used. So the first thing we did was we cleaned up the header in the report, and we used the skip parameter in the readxls function to remove those first three lines. We still had footers in there, and what we had to do is kind of review kind of where that last line of report data is, and make a note of that, and then we used, which was on line 42, and we used the nmax parameter in this function to tell readxl, readxls to only do 42 lines. That's the most you're going to read in the file. And once we had that all done, our data was in pretty good shape. Except the second column, you really couldn't do anything by country, and country would probably be a filtering or maybe a grouping variable. Well, it would just be a filtering variable in this case, if you wanted to look at things at certain country levels. So we wanted to rename that. The first time we did it just using the default name that readxl generated, using the column name, that didn't work in our dplyr routine, and we had to kind of go back and use just the column number in order to rename the second column to country, and that tended to work really well. So that's kind of the recap that we have here for this episode on Data Science Live. One thing that I do want to do is I want to thank one of the viewers, Eliza. I hope that's how I pronounce your name properly, for the comments that you've posted in the YouTube VODs. Those have been very helpful. I really appreciate those comments because they help me fix things and make it better for these casts. So I hope you learned a little bit here. I will post the blog on my website, datasciencelive.com. So keep copying and pasting, keep practicing. I mean, this is how I learned a lot. This is how you can learn too. Also, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications for when I go live. I appreciate your companionship with me here today. Until the next cast, goodbye for now, dear friends.